Hi everyone, welcome to another video. On this video, we are taking a look into how we can map a network drive using group policy. On the previous videos, we were kind of mapping it manually, but we don't want to do that anymore. What if a company has, let's say, 100 of users and you need to map a drive for them? You need to go to their computer one by one and you need to map it manually. We don't want to do that anymore, right? So we want to automate in a way that we can set up a group policy and it maps to all of the users, like all of the intended users, right? So we want to achieve that through group policy. Let's get into it. So I'm going to go to my domain controller first. Let me do that. This is my domain controller, right? So I need to go to the group policy console. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to search for tools and I'm going to look for Windows administrative tools. There are a couple of ways to open group policy console, but I want to show you different ways to do it. So on this video, we just search for administrative tools and we want to check that group policy management console from here, right? So I'm going to open it. And this is our group policy console. So we want to create a group policy to map network drive, right? So I am going to open this group policy objects. So this is where you would be creating all the fresh group policies. So we want to create a new policy. I want to just hit on this and create new. And we want to call the policy, let's say we want to call this one live map drive finance dash ID. So I'll just do for finance. So live map drive finance. That should be all right. Hit OK. So this is the policy, right? So this is the policy we just created. So just to avoid the confusion, I'm going to delete this policy, the another one. Okay, we have got this policy live dash map dash drive dash finance, right? So this is the new policy we want to use to map network drive for our end users, right? So what network drive do we want to map? So that is the another question, right? So I'm going to go back to all the shares from this computer. Actually, we are using this computer. This domain controller is our file server. So I'm going to go and check all the share from this machine. So if I go to computer management, let me open that up. So this is where I can see all the shares. So this is the finance department drive we want to map to the end user, right? To finance user, actually. So if I go back here, you will see over here as well. If I go to File Explorer, and I will just do // jola-dc01, and this is the network drive we want to map to finance user. Let's go back to our policy one more time. So this is the policy we have, right? live-map-drive-finance. I'm going to hit edit. So here we want to make this one user policy, right? Because we want to have users in a group and we want to map this drive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here, preferences, Windows setting, and this is where you see drive maps. So this is a user policy. Always remember that what you are setting up, right? If it is a user policy or computer policy. So this is the user policy and we want to map a drive. So I'm going to go here and right click and new, right? New map drive. So here in the general, on the action, you will have a couple of options: create, replace, update, delete. What we want to do, we want to create a shared drive, right? So you can have this update. This has a functionality. If the user doesn't have a shared drive, it will create, and if you are doing any changes, it will update as well. So it will do both functions. So I'm going to just set it to update on the action, right? Location. So what we want to share. So what we want to share is we want to share. There was one. Let me go back. So we want to share this finance department drive, right? So I'm going to put that in here. So that is done. Also, before I actually do it, you need to make sure this one is shared with finance all users, right? So you need to make sure of that. So this one is already being shared with finance all users. If they are manually putting all the path, they will get access to it. But what we want to do, we want to map it to their computer. So that is what we are doing. So we want to just map that drive to their computer. That is what we want to achieve, right? So here you can set a label as well. So what we want to call, let's say finance department drive, right? So when it gets mapped to end user computer, it will show this as a label, right? And what drive later do you wanna give it to it? So I wanna give it, let's say R. That should be all right. And that is done. Now, another thing is this common tab. If you go right here, there are a couple of options we want to use. So if I go targeting over here, there are a couple of things you will see. We want to target it to certain users, correct? So this is what we want to do. So I'm going to go down here and look for a security group. And here on the group, if you click on these three dots, this is where we want to target, right? So we want to target it to finance all user. So check the name, and that is there. Hit OK, and hit OK. So this policy will only be applied to those finance all users. Always remember that. So now we have done the item level targeting, and I'm gonna apply this one, right? And hit OK. So that is done. So we have got a group policy that will map network drive to finance all users. If anyone is part of that group, they will get that shared drive. I'm gonna go to Harry's PC. Right? So I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna open this PC, right? He just have local disk at the moment. Remember this one. So I'm gonna go back here. We have created the GPO, but we haven't yet linked, right? So I'm gonna link this GPO. What you can do is you can link it to domain label. That's not an issue because we have done item level targeting. So whoever is part of that finance group, they will get it. So there is no harm to map it to domain label, but we don't want to do that because we know that whenever we are creating users, we would be creating to finance department. So I'm going to link it here. So I'm going to right click and link an existing GPO, right? So before I do this, let me show you what we have. We just have, if you go here, these are the policy it has got, right? The directly linked one and inherited one. So we want to link that policy we have recently created. So I'm going to do that. So link an existing policy because we already created that. So this is the policy we have created, right? Live-map-drive-finance. I'm going to hit OK. So now here you will see that policy linked, right? So that is perfect. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to add Harry as a member of this group as well. Perfect. That is all done, right? So technically it should map that drive to Harry's PC. Let's go into his PC now. So there are a couple of things we want to test here. So I'm going to open CMD command prompt. And here we want to see all the group policies applied to this user, because the policy for that finance drive mapping, that is user policy, right? So I'm gonna check all the user policy applied to him. So what I'm gonna do is GP result /R. We're gonna set the scope and we want to see user policies, right? So that is done. If you check here, this is the user setting, right? So applied group policies. So this user has got just 2 policies. We have applied the new policy, but it has not yet replicated down to this user computer, right? So to replicate that over to this machine, there is a command GP update, right? So also, just to let you know, you can just do GP results /R to see all the policies as well, but it's all up to you. But if you just want to see user policy, you can set the scope and still you can see user policy only, right? So here still you can see 2 policies. That's all right. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do GP update, right? So GP update /force. You can do this one to get all the policies, computer policy as well as user policy. Let's do that. You can just do force user policy only as well. I will show you that one as well. That would be useful for you so that it doesn't pull all the, like computer policies. So there is an error. Something is wrong, right? So let me check what is happening. The following error were encountered. The policy. Okay, does Windows could not resolve the computer name. Okay, let's check post name. So this is the computer we have. All right, so let me go back to domain controller and fix this one. So where is our domain controller? So perfect. So let's go cmd -pc03. That seems all right. What about, is it pinging? So 131 ping. Yeah, that's all right. So let me do it again. Okay, let me give it a restart. Okay, all right, we are almost there. Perfect. So let's go back to the CMD. And let's say GP result /R. Look at this. We have got that live map drive finance group policy here, right? So now this policy has been applied to that user. That means we should be able to see that drive map to this user. Is that correct? Absolutely right. So let's go and check that out. So I'm going to go back to here, File Explorer. Okay, let's see the magic. All right. So this PC. Perfect. So we have got this finance department drive, and we wanted it to be mapped as R drive, right? So that's all there. Perfect. And if the user open this one, he can see everything over here. That is amazing, right? So this is how you can map network drive to the users. So for example, in future, there's another person who has got hired to finance department, then someone can simply add that user finance group, and he will get this drive straight away. You don't have to go to his computer to map it manually. We want to avoid that manual task, right? So you can do this for thousands of users, just like single policy. That would be it, right? Here, this is how you can map network drive. Thank you very much for watching. See you in another video. Thank you. Bye-bye.